Good morning. Hello, my dear students. A very good morning. Hope you all are doing good and understanding my lectures, liking my videos, and also asking your doubts and solving whatever the work is given to you. Children, here we meet again for a new revision session of the remaining two lessons for your PT1. So, children, here we start. Today we will discuss the new two lessons for and if you have any doubt, hope you all are commenting, and I know if you have any doubts, please let me know at my email ID. Okay. So children, here we go with our revision. So the today's chapters that we are going to revise are fiber, chapter number 3, fiber to fabric, and chapter number 11, motion and measurement of distances. Yes children, fiber to fabric will be the first lesson that we will discuss. So let us start. Fiber to fabric. Let me tell you the quick glimpse and the summary whatever we will be learning in this lesson. We will be learning the history of clothing. What are fibers? What are the types of fibers? If the types of fibers are the plant fibers and the animal fibers. So the example that we are going to study are cotton, jute and coir. Then we have natural and synthetic fibers. Then we have wool and silk under them. We will see how are these fibers turned from fiber to fabric, how are clothes made out of it, and the three basic processes, the most fundamental ones that we will be learning is spinning, weaving and knitting. So let us get started with the chapter that is fiber to fabric. Children, introduction, you very well know that clothes are the basic need of man. Along with the food and shelter, they are the primary needs of human beings. Clothes are used mainly to protect our bodies against the weather, sunlight, extreme cold, and to protect our dignity. So the kind of clothes people wear has been changed from the ancient times. So let us see the history of clothing. As you know, in olden days the clothes were worn by human beings were made up of animal skins and different types of furs. There they didn't know the process how to use it or they make fibers out of it. With time the human beings found other materials to make clothes, and clothes were made from the bark of trees and grasses, and like this there was the invention of types of fibers that were naturally available. So these soft pieces would be sewn together. They found out that the older man found out that these fibers can be sewed, that is, it can be stitched together and then colored with natural dyes. So around 2000 BC, people finally started to weave clothes. So from back to the ancient times where people were pre-developed or pre-civilized, from there till up till now the history of clothing is very vast and dynamic. As you can see here in these pictures, see how the region influences the type of clothing they have. We are not going to go into very detail. So as you saw, the history of clothing is very dynamic. Now let us come to the main part of the lesson, that is fibers. What are fibers? The thin threads that form clothes are fibers. These two, it is a natural or man-made substance that is significantly longer than it is wide. Fibers are often used in manufacture of other materials like clothes. Synthetic fibers are the ones that we humans have made using the natural fibers. So natural fibers are either from animals or plants that we will be studying in the types for now after this. But basically fibers are the thin threads that will help, that are the fundamental unit of a cloth, of any type of cloth we see that we wear and use. Okay. So the types of fibers are natural and synthetic. These natural means they are taken from natural resources our Mother Earth has given. So natural resources also has its types, and then finally we have synthetic, that is made from chemicals and fertilizers using the chemical processes. So let us first see what are natural resources and the fibers made out of them. Okay. So the types of fibers include plant fibers, animal fibers. These two are the categorized under natural fibers, and then we have synthetic fibers. Okay. So under plant we have cotton. Example is cotton, jute fiber and coir fiber. These also we will be seeing in detail what is cotton, how is it extracted and all. But now for in plant, from the plant sources, what type of fibers we extract or obtain is cotton, jute and coir. Cotton, you all know what it is. Cotton is, jute is also a type of cloth. Ask your mama and I'll tell you what is coir. Animal fibers include wool and silk. Wool, you all know, mama makes sweater out of it, that is nothing but wool. Silk, the silk saris your mothers have, the silk type clothes that we wear are nothing but the silk threads from silkworms. Have you seen silkworms? Their cocoon is used to make the fabric called silk, and that's why it's the animal source that is used and it is the natural fiber. Then finally we have synthetic fibers which are processed or chemically made in the factories. They are called rayon and nylon, polyester and many more are there, but basically you have to remember at least this much. Okay. So the plant fibers include, I told you the examples for cotton, jute and coir. So what is cotton? Cotton is nothing but a soft staple fiber that grows in the form as a bowl around the seeds of a cotton plant. So as you see here in the cotton, observe a cotton plant, it looks very beautiful, white bowls are there surrounding the seeds. So the fiber is collected by either hand picking or by machines. So we have cotton fields in which cotton grows, so they are hand picked by the farmers or machines are used nowadays. The fiber is most often spun into yarns or threads, and the threads are usually used to weave a soft breathable fabric, that is cotton. Cotton is the most widely used natural fiber from which cloth is made today. It is used in number of textile products, and it is also used to make the synthetic fiber called terry cloth. Okay. Cotton is also used to make khadi, a handmade fabric, and it is the most comfortable one. People wear most of all cotton clothes. Socks, innerwear and most t-shirts are made from cotton. Bed sheets are also often made from cotton. It is first, how is this cotton? It is not directly taken raw. This cotton is first sterilized and used for clinical purposes also. So you see in band-aids and bandages, if you get an injury, cotton plug is there, see. So it is also used in there too. Cotton clothes are wear in tropical climates, and India has been growing cotton for thousands of years. So this cotton is very amazing fabric. Next type of plant fiber that we have is jute. What is jute? Jute is a long, soft, shiny plant fiber that can be spun into coarse and strong threads. It is produced from the skin of the jute plant stem. There is a plant called jute plant, and it is the second most important plant fiber after cotton. So jute is the cheapest natural fibers, and it is secondly to cotton. It is not that expensive as cotton, but it is cheaper. It is off-white or brown in color, and it grows 1 to 4 meters long. These plants, jute plants, and the fabric made from this jute is also known as burlap. What is the name? Yes, burlap. Jute fabrics are also called Hessian cloths, and jute sacks are what they are called? Gunny bags. Jute has been cultivated in India since ancient times, in Bengal, Bangladesh, Kolkata, etc. Jute is chiefly used to make cloths and wrap the bales of cotton. So it is woven into curtains, the chair coverings that we use, the sofa coverings, etc., carpets, rugs, etc., are made out of this jute fabric. Jute sacks are used in packaging industry too. So jute is also an amazing fiber. It is 100% biodegradable, hence it is also environment friendly. The fibers are used to blend twine and rope, and various jute, you see jute ropes are also present. Jute has many advantages as a home textile industry, and it is very important. The next type of plant fiber we have is coir. Coir is the fiber obtained from the outer covering of the fruit of coconut palm. So the coconut palm, the extra outer covering, after you dry it, is used as a husk. This husk is separated and then beaten to get fiber, that is called coir. Coir is spun, dyed and woven to form a fabric, and number of household products are made out of it, like mats, ropes and floor coverings. They are also used to stuff mattresses and pillows. So the stuffing of a mattresses is also used from a plant fiber called coir. Okay. Now we move on to the second type of natural fiber, that is from animal fibers. So we have, sorry for that, C, the fiber spelling is FIBRES. The C has come by default, so please ignore it. Okay children. So the animal fiber are of two types, that is wool and silk. So hair of a sheep and other animals like rabbit, deer, etc. are used to obtain wool. Wool is the fiber obtained from the hair of sheep. The process of removing wool from these animals by using special clippers and machines are available. That process is called shearing. After shearing, the wool is packed in bales and bundles. Okay, this fiber is then woven, knitted and processed in the industry to get the wool that you mama knits to make a sweater. Wool is a fluffy fiber and hence it retains air. So that's why we wear woolen clothes and woolen sweaters in winters, as it does not allow the body heat to escape and helps us to keep warm in the cold weather. Children, Australia is the leading producer of wool in the world, followed by New Zealand and China. India is among the top 10 wool producers, and it is also used to make upholstery, carpets and shoes for small children, right? Now next animal fiber we have is silk. Silk is obtained from the cocoon of the silkworm. Silkworms are insects which feed on the leaves of the mulberry trees. A silkworm secretes a silk thread which he makes cocoon around himself, that is up to 800 meters long. Yes children, it is also sometimes it's about 1.5 kilometers in length. So what happens is they take the cocoon, they boil it in water so that the inside whatever the silkworm is present, it gets killed, and hence the cocoon is obtained and processed to form the silk fabric. But for the processing of cocoon, what do you need? Yes, a silkworm. So you have to first rear a silkworm, that is you have to help them reproduce and you have to rear them. So the rearing of silkworms to produce silk is called sericulture, and silk is a very expensive fiber children. It was first developed in China about 7,000 years ago, and so that it traveled from there to different parts of the world of Middle East, Europe, India. Silk trade in earlier times was known as silk route. Many people believe that it is not right to use silk. Why? Because silkworms get killed in it, so it is not environment friendly to read. So it is inconvenient sometimes, but there are industries who extract this expensive fiber. Next type is synthetic fibers. The fibers obtained by chemical processes are called synthetic fibers. Nylon, rayon, polyester, terracotta, terry wool, etc. are the examples of synthetic fibers. Clothes made from these fibers, synthetic fibers, are stronger than the clothes made from natural ones. Why? Because they are made chemically. Their chemicals are present in them. They do not wrinkle easily and they dry quickly too. But synthetic fibers have less absorption capacity. Therefore, they do not absorb sweat, and as a result they are durable, or they can be used for a longer period of time. Terracotta, terrevool are the synthetic fibers too. Okay, so this was about synthetic fibers. Now let us see the processes. The process of converting fiber to fabric involves spinning the yarn. A yarn is then used to make fabrics by processes such as weaving and knitting. So first one, the first process is spinning. What is spinning? The process of making yarns from fibers is called spinning. In this process, fibers are drawn out and twisted, and this brings the fibers together to form a yarn. A simple device is used for spinning called the hand spindle. It is also called as turkey. Yeah, another hand operated device is the charkha. You know charkha. Who used to use charkha? In the ancient Indian times, a famous, is also called as the father of a nation. Yes, Mahatma Gandhi ji is also called as the Bapu of a nation, and he used to weave spin the yarn using charkha. Yes, just to promote Indian small scale industries. Okay, in large scale quantities, it is spinned by using machines. After spinning, yarns are used to make fabrics. Okay, what is weaving? The next process involves weaving. It is the arranging of two sets of yarn together to form a loop. Weaving is done with the help of looms. What are looms? They are machines, are either hand operated or power operated. What happens is they take two distinct sets of yarns or threads, and they called the warp and weft are interlaced. We have two parts, the warp and the weft. They will be intertwined, see, as you can see here in the picture, and they are formed into a fabric. They are weaved. So we have plain simple fabrics and also beautiful decorative designs available here too. Then finally we have knitting. In knitting, a single yarn is used to make a piece of fabric. Knitting is a method by which a thread or yarn is turned into cloth. It consists of loops. Stitches are pulled together, and thus knitting is done by hand or machine. We have numerous styles available and methods that shows the creativity itself. Okay, so children, here we end up with this lesson, this part of the lesson. The first lesson, fiber to fabric. The third lesson. Now we move on to the second half of the video. Okay, that is motion and measurement of distances. Here we will study the history and the modes of transport. What is distance? Why we need to know the distances? What are the measurement units? Measurement of distance or length. Then we will see the standard or the units of measurement. Then we will see the international. What are the international system of units? Then finally we will come to know what is rest and what is motion. Then we will see the types of motion and also solve a question like combinations. Are combinations available in motions too? So let us start. Children, movement or motion is an important characteristic of living things. Yes, in earlier times, what is the history of the mode of the transport? In earlier times, people would walk from one place to another. They would carry goods. Then they started traveling through animals. Then they invented one by one the things like automobiles, aeroplanes, etc. according to their convenience, and started to move about in places, and trade developed. Thus the civilization increased. So you see, observe this timeline. Wheel was invented, horses were used, then boats were developed. Finally the steam engine came. They developed hot air balloons, then cycle, from there to steam locomotive, and finally the cars were invented too. Like this the timeline went. Before every other form of transportation, humans travelled on foot. So many new modes of transportation was invented like bicycles, trains, motor cars, trucks, aeroplanes and trams. In 1906, the first car was developed which had an engine. The Wright brothers, you remember, they were the first to develop a sustained and powered aeroplane. The first steam powered engine was used in trains by James Watt, a Scottish inventor. Yes, the first gasoline powered automobile, that is the car, was developed by Gottlieb Daimler and Carl Benz in 1885. So you need to remember these important persons' name, what they invented and which year. Okay, it can be asked in one line or objective type of question. So please do remember and note it down. Okay. Distance. Now what is distance? The length or the amount of space between any two places is called the distance. Like the distance may be small or large or very large. For example, the sun and the earth have a very large distance between them. But whereas you take you yourself watching my video and your mobile screen, is the distance very large? No, it's very small and not much. So, but the distance between you and your kitchen where you are sitting right now may be larger than your mobile screen. Yes. So, this is how we use the terms. Okay. The units of measurement, why we need first, after this we will see why is it necessary, children, to know the distances. Yes, it helps us determining in which mode of transport will we use. For example, if your school is nearby, some of you may have walked to school, some of you use your bike, motorcycle or bike, scooters, or some use buses to travel and some travel by train. So, if you know the distance, you will be able to choose the transportation. So, that is why it is the need to measure distances. So, children, this was the why we measure distances or length. So, measurement of distance or length between two objects, we use different things like a measurement tape. Earlier people used to use footsteps, stretch arms, that I already explained in detail in the previous video. Make sure you go and watch that video too and let me know. Okay, the hand span, cubit, arm length, I'll be giving you worksheets based on that. Okay, so there were the two types of units of measurement, standard units and international units. What is standard to measure something? May include estimating the size, weight, amount or speed of something. So, the process is called measurement. So, we see the standard measure is 1 meter is equals to 100 centimeter. That also I have explained it in detail in the previous video. Go and please make sure you go and watch. Now, look at this chart. You have international system of units. They are like K, capital K is used for measuring Kelvin, that is temperature. To measure temperature, the unit is Kelvin. If we measure distance in SI unit, the unit is meters. If when we talk about electric current, is measured in amperes and the symbol is capital A. We measure time in seconds, small s, denoted by small s. The amount of substance is measured by moles and the symbol is MOL, small. The mass is measured in kilograms, that is kg, and intensity of light is measured, or the luminous intensity is measured in candela. That is a scientist that who developed, named him as candela, the unit. Okay, so the symbol is CD. This chart is important and I will be giving you questions based on this. Okay. Now, what is rest and motion? What is the state of rest? The position of some objects are fixed, like the TV in your house or the living room is fixed. The fan may be moving, but the hands of the fan move, but the fans is fixed in a particular position on the ceiling. Okay, so if you off it, you keep it off unless and until you on it, it is in the rest position, right? So the objects whose position is fixed are said to be in stationary objects, or they are said to be at rest. But whereas when they start moving, they are said to be in state of motion. Yes, for example, when we walk, we undergo a motion, but when we are sleeping at night, we are in the state of rest. Yes, and children, an interesting factor about motion is that body with respect to one object can be in state of rest with respect to other object. For example, you imagine traveling in a car. Okay, you are sitting at rest in the car, but the car is moving, so you are in both the motions. While staying at rest, you are in motion, right? So what is motion is defined as some kind of change in the position of an object with respect to time. So we have types of motion called periodic motion, rectilinear motion, curvilinear motion, translatory motion, circulatory motion and oscillatory motion. So these are the types of motions. Depending on the ways in which the position of body changes, its motion can be classified as follows. As you see in these pictures, what is translatory motion? First, let us start with translatory. In this motion, each part of the body object moves along any path in the same direction. It will go in same direction. For example, the motion of a drawer of a table, the motion of computer mouse, the ball falling from a height are translatory motion. But translational motions are the movement of door latch, the up and down movement of lifts. I have explained these motions in detail too. The rotatory motion example is your fan, hands of the fan. Motion of the ceiling fan is in rotatory motion. Periodic motion is the revolution and rotation of earth and the other planets around the sun. Oscillatory is the hand of pendulum clock you have seen, it goes to and fro in the same direction, is called the oscillatory motion. Circulatory motion is you see a fan is revolving, that is also in said to be in circulatory motion. Okay. So children, there is a condition where the combination of motions can take place. The objects can undergo a combination of various types of motion. So some examples are motion of a bicycle. It moves from one place to another. It goes under two types of motion, translational and rotational. Translation is it is moving in forward direction, rotational is the wheels of the bicycle are going round and round. The motion of ball rolling on the ground, it is going straight, rectilinear as well as rolling, circular motion. Okay. Motion of screw, there also the circulation, rotational and rectilinear motion is there. The motion of earth spinning around the earth, circular and periodic motion, etc. Like this, various examples are present, and here we end up with our revision session. Make sure you observe the previous video too, and if you still have any doubts, let me know and comment below to mark your attendance. This was for today. Thank you children. Take care. Goodbye.